Other People's Children by Lisa Delpit. Who is Lisa Delpit? Delpit is the youngest of three children. Her mother was the first African American woman to earn a graduate degree from Louisiana State University. Lisa Delpit was raised in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. She attended Antioch College and received her master's and doctoral degrees in curriculum, instruction, and research from Harvard University. In 1990, she was the recipient of the MacArthur Genius Fellowship. She is currently a distinguished professor at Southern University in Baton Rouge. Lisa Delpit's Other People's Children takes a look at the power relationships that have dictated the educational experiences of children of color and children with linguistic diversity. This book is divided into three sections. The first, in which she states the argument and provides literature including examples of language and power to develop the argument. The second section provides examples of multicultural education in the U.S. and abroad. The final section of this book provides implications and discourse on how educators should move ahead. Given the increasing percentage of minority students in U.S. classrooms, it was Lisa Delpit's goal to educate a predominantly white teaching force on how to educate children of color. It is her goal to develop cultural transmitters in which she urges teachers to actively fight against the oppressive educational practices and ideologies that she witnessed during her experiences as an educator. A common theme seen throughout this book is how power causes imbalances and cultural conflicts in the classroom. Delpit suggests that these imbalances be resolved by power sharing and including people of color in decision making. The subtitle of this book, Cultural Conflict in the Classroom, is indeed woven into the entire book. In Section 1, Delpit describes how schools are run by a culture of power to which all students do not have access. To practitioners and teacher educators, this information is pertinent because teachers are a part of the culture of power. It is imperative they understand their roles and leverage it to enhance the educational experiences of their students. Delpit argues that students outside of the culture of power have suffered because people enact such a culture on them without providing the necessary skill set. Because schools are ran by the culture of power, then students should be explicitly introduced to the culture as Delpit states. Parents and organizing groups should also become familiar with this culture of power to understand the disconnect between their students' aptitude and achievement. Using Delpit's argument, it can be seen that academically capable students cannot achieve in school settings because of the hidden curriculum and unspoken norms. Creating diversity in literacy programs is another area that Delpit addressed in this book. She suggests that teachers find ways to celebrate diversity in the classroom by researching and getting to know the history behind different cultures and their dialect. She urges teachers to make language diversity a part of the curriculum. Delpit's experiences as a researcher in Papua New Guinea profiles the success of the Village Toplex schools. These schools promote the local culture and linguistic diversity. In the Toplex schools, children learn basic instruction in reading and writing in their native language, which is taught by the local village representatives. This system aligns with Delpit's philosophy that educational policy is most likely to be successful when it reflects the goals of the people it affects and reaffirms rather than negates a people's knowledge of its culture and heritage. The exclusion of teachers of color was also a key point addressed in this text. In Delpit's research, she found that these educators felt victimized by teacher preparation institutions. Delpit suggests that these institutions should allow the teachers the opportunities to voice their opinions in regard to education. Delpit also states that by the inclusion of these teachers, educational institutions will be able to gain valuable insight into the ways to effectively teach diverse students. Delpit notes that she finds herself engaged in a war in which white conservatives and liberals are battling over what is good for other people's children while excluding the other people. From this position, she wrote The Silence Dialogue to address the necessity of including the voices of all stakeholders. In her concluding remarks, Delpit states, "The dilemma is not in the debate over instructional methodology, but rather in communicating across cultures and in addressing the more fundamental issue of whose voice gets to be heard in determining what is best for poor children and children of color." On page 131, Delpit states, "In order to resolve the monumental problems we face in providing a quality education for poor children and children of color, we must open ourselves to learn from others with whom we may share little understanding." Delpit's purpose in writing Other People's Children was to share her experiences that led to her understanding of how important cultural awareness is to education. To be effective educators, we must not only know the cultural backgrounds of our students, but also invite those cultural perspectives into the classroom. This book calls attention to the social disconnect between schooling and academic performances for students of color and linguistic diversity. Oftentimes, these students are viewed from a deficient perspective, and schools and other influences are not examined at all. Lisa Delpit examines the cultural power and its impact on student achievement. She looks at the variables outside of the students to move conversations about student achievement forward for marginalized groups of students. Another strength of this work is the integration of two cultures. Central to Delpit's argument is to enhance students' knowledge of cultures. She advocates for appreciation of students' cultures, not of fixing or assimilating students. Students are able to remain who they are and receive the skills necessary to succeed in mainstream America and globally. Some people, white teachers in particular, become defensive while reading Other People's Children. As Delpit's friend Herbert Cole writes on page 186, the teachers and students most offended are usually those convinced that their commitment to students and their teaching has produced good results. The danger is that some teachers might disengage from the book before hearing the message. This book does provoke controversy and disagreement, but that should not be viewed as a weakness. The growth that results from discussions of this book is significant, and as Cole states, thanks to Lisa, we have an opportunity to move beyond failed practice and ideas and get back to work, renewed and hopeful. The only weakness to this text is the possibility that some people might not be open to new ideas, and that is no fault of Delpit's. In conclusion, Lisa Delpit's Other People's Children is a must-read for administrators, teachers, and parents working towards improving the quality of education for children of color. Additionally, Delpit's work serves as a catalyst for influencing the practices of both black and white teachers, helping us to find an approach that is culturally affirming.